Welcome back, coders. So we're keeping on coding, we're not giving up. So now in this tutorial I'm going to talk about React forms. Now if you worked with HTML before, you know what a form is. A form is just an element which allows the user to enter information. The user enters information, you can process that information. That's what a form is. So you can add forms in React also. So to do that, let's create a simple form component. So I'm going to just create a function component, and I'm going to name my component myForm. After naming my component myForm, then I'm going to return what I'm going to return. I'm going to return some form. So to save time, I'm just going to paste here the form that I would return. Here. So this is the form I would return. Let me clean it up a little bit there. So it's just a simple form, the way you do it usually in HTML. So it's a form. It has a label, and the label is enter name. It has an input type of text. Then you close your form. Then here I can render out my form. Call my form. Remember, components have to start with capital letters. Put a capital letter, save that. You can come here and then put my form and then close. Save, come back here. A form should be rendered onto the screen. You can see the form is enter your name, as simple as that. So now I have put a form. So how do I handle? Come back here to my code. So how do I handle form? So handling forms it's fairly simple. How I handle forms. Now, I'm going to talk about to handle forms here. This function component will have a state. So I'm going to use React hooks, but you don't need to understand React hooks well, because they are fairly simple to understand. But if you know function components, then React hooks should be fairly simple to understand. But I'm going to have a whole playlist or a whole series dedicated for React hooks alone. So to simplify everything, let's import our hook. So our hook is going to be useState, which will help us to define a state for. It will help us to define a state for our components. I'm going to call our hook as useState. Then from useState, I'm going to import it from React. So that will be the useState will help us to define our state. So inside our component here, I'm going to say, okay, fine, I'm going to define a state const. Then it's going to be name and set name. Now, if you don't understand this syntax here, this syntax is a destructuring syntax. What it means is that let's equal to use state. What it means is simple. This use state functional method, it's going to return for me an array. Now, if it returns an array, that array will be destructured. That array will have two elements, and those elements will be destructured into the variables name, then the variable set name. Now this set name, it will be a function. So this useState will return a function, and that function which it will return, I'm going to call it set name, and this function will help us to update. This function it returns to help us to update our name variable. So then I'll come back here to my input. So I'm going to say enter input. Now in my input, I'm going to let the value equal to name. Save. Then after putting the value equal to name, I'm going to say on change. If anything in my input changes, what should I do? On change will equal to, then curly brackets, because I have to pass to since the on change is an event, I need to pass to it a function. Remember, all functions, all functions pass to events have access to the event object. So I'll say event, that's the event object. I'm defining my arrow function. And then what it's going to do, my event, the function I passed to it, what it will do, it will just call the set name function to help update our state, meaning that this name here will be updated into our new name. So to get the value of our new name, what we shall just do, we shall say the event target dot value. It means that we shall get whatever value or whatever name someone has inputted inside here, and then we shall set our what? We shall set our state as that name. So if I come back here and then I type something, everything should be working. Everything should be working well at this point. Now we're going to put submitting. So you can control the submit action by adding an event handler which is on submit. Or what should it do when it submits? So then it means that we need to put our submit button. So you can come back, you can come here after label, and then you pass in your submit button. So I'm going to pass in here my submit button. Simple, yeah? Submit button. This is my submit button. Now to add on to my on submit event, I go on top of form and then I put on submit. Now the on submit should take in a function, and then the function which it should take in should be handle submit. Handle submit as the function it should take in. So if it has taken in my handle submit function, I need to define my handle submit function. So I'll come back here. I'll come here, then I'll define my handle submit function. Now to define my handle submit function, it's going to be an arrow function. So I'll say const handle and call it handle submit. Now when I call it handle submit, it will equal to, then it will take in its event. There's an arrow function, it will equal to that. Then I'm going to call my event dot prevent default. So what this does, it prevents the page from reloading. Remember, on normal websites, when you press the submit or when you submit a form, usually the web page reloads. But in this case, when I say event.prevent default, it will prevent the what? It will prevent the page from reloading. Then I'm going to alert whatever the person has or the name the person has passed in. So then I can say, use this new trick in JavaScript. Let me copy here and then I paste it here. So it will just say the name, then the name you entered was, then $, open my curly brackets to put into my variable name which I have access to. Now you will ask, but where did this name variable, where was it set from? It was set from here. Now if you understand what hooks are, then it should be fairly simple to understand. But if you don't understand what hooks are, there's a whole I have a whole playlist talking about hooks. So if I save this, I come back to my browser here and then I click, I put a name, maybe Henry, and then I submit. You can see that my web page was not reloaded, and then to say, okay, the name you entered was Henry. So that is something simple. Now, what if probably we're going to do multiple input fields, maybe multiple input fields. So you can control the values of more than one input field by adding a name attribute to each element. Now we initialize our state with an empty object, meaning that now our state is going to be just an empty object, so we can be able to put all our inputs in. Now to access the fields in the event, we use the event.target_then.name or and event.target.value. So how do we do this? Let's say we have multiple events. So I'm not going to type in all these events because there are many. I'm just going to paste it inside here so that you see all the events which I'm talking about. I mean all the multiple input fields I'm talking about. So let's come back here to our code. We can come back here to our form here. And then we can paste in here our code. So you can see we have our first input field here. And the input field is type text, and then its name is username. Its value will equal to inputs. Now I need to first define my inputs. So here, as my state, here it's going to be inputs. Then the function for updating my inputs will just be set inputs. Then my state will now not be an empty string. My state will be an object so that I can be able to add to that object. I can save. So what my value here will be will equal to inputs. Well, that was on the first one. It will be inputs dot username, because the inputs dot username should be defined here. Or if the inputs dot username is not there, or it's just be an empty string. Then we have our event handler, which is handle change, which I'm going to define here simply. Handle change. We update that as handle change. I'm going to continue to define it. And then we also have our other input fields. We have enter your age here. Then we have a submit button. Now enter age has a name called age, and it was the same thing as, but same logic, but different input field. So we can come to our event handler here. Now, let me Control Z here, and the change and the submit, because this is a different event handler. We have another event handler here of handle change. Then we can now define our handle change event handler. So I shall just say handle, call it handle change equal to brackets equal to that curly brackets. So now in our handle change event handler, I'm going to say const name to get the name. Now to get the name, I'll select the name equal to event dot target then dot name, because remember our input field here we gave it a name as username. So this name that we gave it is the one that is going to be stored into name. So we can put const. Then we can also say const value. Now the value is whatever the person has entered. So we shall call it as event dot target dot value to get in our value. Event dot target dot value. Then after that, we are going to now call our set inputs to update our state. Now in our set inputs, what we are going to do, we are going to call in values. We're going to open our object. Then in our object, we're going to use the spread operator and spread the values. Now, I also have a video on how spread operators work. So if you have not watched it, you can go to my channel and then look for the ES6 playlist, and then you can watch how spread operators work. So then I'm going to spread whatever previous value was there. I'll spread it there. And then after spreading whatever previous value is, I'll set my key to be name. Now, if you're setting a key, which is in a variable, I have to use these brackets. After that, then now it will point to the value as the value. And I will save. Now, here in the alert, when someone submits, what I'm going to alert is simple. I'm just going to alert the inputs. Save, come back to my browser and see if everything is working correctly. It's saying unexpected use of event. There was an unexpected use of event, line 16 through 18. So let me come back here. Line 16 through 18. Because I did not pass in the what? Event variable here. Come back. It's saying values is not defined, line 19. Line 19. Values is not defined. What is defined? Values is not. Why is my values not defined? Yes. Now, the reason why my values is not defined is this. There are two ways you can set inputs. What I could do to set inputs, I can either pass. If I pass to the set inputs function, it will be able to provide for me the previous values. If I set to my set input, the function, it should be able to provide for me the set values. Or what I could do, I could just pass in your inputs, and then I save. Everything should now be working well. Everything is working well, as you can see. But I'm having two submit buttons, so I should remove this first submit button. But everything is working well because I passed here my inputs. But this is not recommended. Usually what is recommended is this. To your set inputs function, you need to pass to it a function because it's working like a higher order function. Now the function that I'm going to pass to it is this, equal to. So when I pass to it a function, what set inputs does it will provide for me? The values. So if it provides for me the values, I can be able to what? To spread the values in here. So this should work the same. What is it now saying? Unexpected token. Unexpected token. Why is it passing from unexpected token? Okay. Yeah. I should return that into brackets. Everything should work properly now. Save, come back. Everything should be well. And everything is well. So I can pass in my name Henry. I can pass in the age as 20. And I can submit, and you can see it has passed for me object. That's the inputs. So if I want to see any input here, I can say input dot. Let's say input dot username. Save and come back here. Pass in probably Henry. Then pass in age as what? 1. Submit. And say Henry as the username has been popped. It's been popped out. Now that is for multiple inputs. Now what of for text area? Now the text area in React is slightly different from the what? Slightly different from the ordinary HTML. Now in HTML, the value of the text area was the text between the tags text area and the end of the tag text area. But in React, the value of the text area is placed in a value attribute. So we will use state hook to manage. We'll use the state hook to manage this. So what you should do, come back here to your come back here to our state, and in our state we shall define it our state as text area. We're not talking about text area. So we shall define our state here as text area. Then we shall set text area. Then our text area here will just be some text. The content of the text area goes inside here. So that after that we can remove our handle submit function. We can keep our handle change function, and in our handle change function we can remove all this out and keep. And also remove this. Let me just record it here. Remove that. And in our handle change function, we shall do the set text area, and in the set text area we shall just call the event dot target dot value. We shall just pass it the value in the text area. Then from there we can remove all this. That since we are not going to submit, we don't need the on submit function. So we can remove the on submit event handler out here. Then in the form we can now pass in our text area. So we shall just a text area, and we shall pass in the value to equal to. So the value here in this case will be text area, and close our element, and then we have to pass to it the on change event handler, and then the change event handler needs the function, and we already defined our function, which is handle change, and we save. We come back here, you can see that the initial text that is here is that text that we defined, the text which is saying what? It's saying that the content of the text goes in what? In this value. So if we remove this out, saved, come back here, and see there is nothing because we did not define our initial value, but everything will work properly. But usually initially you can define your initial value. That now since you have a handle change, when you get this information here that someone has typed, you can do something with it, or you can do nothing with it. So if you get this information, you can send it to a server or something. But now this is how you work with forms. Now let's go. We're going to another form. Select form. Now a drop-down list or a select box in React is also a bit different from HTML. In HTML, the selected value in the drop-down list was defined with the selected attribute. That's usually in HTML. But in React, the selected value is defined with a value attribute on the tag. So it's a bit different. But how is it a bit different? Let me show you. So I'm going to define my state here. My state for the function. So the state will have the state variable will be my car, and then it will have a function set my car to help change the car, and then the initial value will be the my type of car. So now when the handle change is called, what's going to do is just going to say set my car. That's when the handle change is called. Then my form. To save time, let me not type it. Let me come here to my form and paste it here. Just explain. So I'll have my form. Now I'll have my select. Now in the select, we'll just take in the current value of the select that has been selected. Then it will take in the onChange handler what to do my value here changes, what should I do? I should set my what? My state, and change my state of whatever value someone here has changed. And then I can have my options, and each option should have the value Ford, and then Ford, a name which will appear on the browser, Ford, and everything should be working well. When I come to my browser, should say I see Volvo, then I can change from Volvo to Fiat, from Fiat to Ford. So that is how the select element in Ford works in React. So thank you for watching. Enjoyed the video, leave a like. Never give up coding, and see you in the next video.